Hello, darling heart, and welcome to this episode of the Drink Less, Live Better podcast. This is the podcast that helps you to see that drinking less doesn't need to be stressful, lonely, or boring. I'm your host, Sarah Williamson, and I decided to have a year alcohol-free as a little life experiment and haven't looked back. I'm here to support you with your alcohol-free or drink less adventures. Follow me on Instagram at Drink Less Live Better. Find resources on my website, drinklesslivebetter.com, and buy my book, Drink Less Live Better. It's perfect for dry January. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Let's get straight to it. Intellectual dishonesty. Confession time. I am guilty of intellectual dishonesty. Let's get honest about being dishonest today. I used to be masterful at it. Let's start with some drinking examples from my history. I used to say, I'm not that bad really. Well, let's see, shall we? What is that bad? We can assume I was comparing myself to anyone else, and just how useful is that? Not very, let's be honest. I'm not that bad really was not an honest phrase. Towards the end of my drinking, I didn't like who I was when I was drinking, and that was bad, really bad for me. It might not have been devastating for anyone else, but it wasn't working out well, and saying I'm not that bad didn't help me. I used to say, I don't get hangovers. Oh right, so what was that crushing headache then, or that need to sleep in, or the fried eggs, chips and full-fat Coke for breakfast? Those, Sarah Williamson, were hangovers, and yes, you did get them quite badly. I also used to say, when I drink, I tell the truth. Oh my God, this is horrific to think about now. Sometimes when I drank, I spoke some utter nonsense. And also, sometimes when I drank, I said things that were untrue, unkind, and unnecessary. Not nice. I don't drink every day, so I don't have a problem with alcohol, used to be one of my stock phrases. Well, the first bit was true. I didn't drink every day, but that doesn't actually follow that there isn't a problem. Oh yes, there were problems. None that you might have noticed as an outsider looking in, but plenty happening inside my head. I also used to say, alcohol helps me relax, have fun, feel connected to other people. I just wish I could go back in time and tell a past version of me that all of this intellectual dishonesty was keeping me stuck. And actually, what I needed to do was give it an experimental break, and then I would be okay. Intellectual dishonesty is when we consciously ignore what we know to be true. How many of us have looked at our bank statements and thought, oh yes, I'll sort out my pension or my savings account next month? We know perfectly well that the earlier we start saving, the better off we'll be. The maths isn't complicated, but we push it aside. We convince ourselves we have plenty of time, or that next month will be better. We're being intellectually dishonest with ourselves about our financial future. I'll stop drinking after the wedding, the festival, the 40th birthday. Does this sound familiar? We're choosing to avoid taking action on what we know to be true because the alternative feels uncomfortable. A sober wedding? An alcohol-free festival? A non-drinking 40th? Is it even possible? Yes, dear listener, I'm here to tell you it's perfectly possible. Intellectual dishonesty is not about being stupid. It's quite the opposite. We're intelligent enough to know the truth, but we're also clever enough to create sophisticated justifications for ignoring it. Mental gymnastics, if you will. And I am here to claim my Olympic gold medal Thank you very much. Now, for some good news. Awareness of it is the first step towards changing. Next time you catch yourself making excuses or looking the other way, pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I being intellectually honest right now? Sometimes just acknowledging our mental sleight of hand is enough to help us make better choices. Then accept whatever mental somersault you are doing. Are you then going to continue on that course or change direction? It's up to you. When you have caught yourself knowing better, but choosing to ignore it, how does that make you feel? Shall we all try and be a bit more honest with ourselves this week, even if it makes us squirm a bit? Perhaps I should say, especially if it makes us squirm a bit. Check out the show notes for a link to a hidden podcast episode that will help you with your 5 p.m. cravings and details about my one-to-one life coaching and sober coaching programs. And P.S. I believe in you.